You know, if you were looking at a roster of Aleister Black, Andrade, Angel Garza, Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, Apollo Crews, Mustafa Ali, you would probably be considered one lucky individual, as I am sure there are a lot of promotions out there that would love to have all of those or any one of those names that I just mentioned. Monday Night Raw has these names, but yet every single week the shows are absolutely terrible on Monday night. Why aren't these men being pushed in high-profile feuds? Why aren't these men being built on Monday Night Raw as the potential future of the company? If you said Vince McMahon, you are partially correct, as everything goes through Vince McMahon, as we all know. But if you said Bruce Prichard, now we are talking. Why has Bruce Prichard effectively buried every single name that I just mentioned? We are going to go over it right now on Off the Script. Also, why has Wobbly Walrus debuted in the Firefly Funhouse? Why has Paul Heyman been portrayed in the Firefly Funhouse as a fat, oversized walrus? Well, according to sources, the creative team is very afraid to speak up about how wrong it is. Also, a possible potential major spoiler for the Clash of the Champions pay-per-view with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. What does WWE have planned for the resident chief, the tribal chief of SmackDown on Fox? Folks, I got so much news, I don't know what to do with it. This is episode 343. This is Off the Script.
Delete this man.
Alive with it. People still What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. This is episode 343 for your Saturday, September 19th, 2020. Today, sponsored by The Ridge. Ridge.com/scripts. Man, oh man. I got a lot of news to go over, man. When I read that initial report at the top of the introduction, that was actually revealed earlier in the week after Monday Night Raw and whatever happened on Monday Night Raw. I'm reading that news article and I'm asking myself, what the fuck is wrong with these people? Seriously. Everybody in WWE, as far as a creative decision-making position, what is wrong with these people? I don't really understand it. What are they waiting for to have happen? Are they waiting for the next Undertaker to fall out of the sky and just fall right into their lap? Are they waiting for the next Rock to fall out of the sky and fall right into their lap? Maybe the next Stone Cold Steve Austin, maybe the next Shawn Michaels, the next Ric Flair, the next Hulk Hogan. What exactly are they doing as far as building new talent? They certainly aren't doing anything. In fact, they're not in the business of making new talent. They're in the business of burying new talent. They're in the business of, let's sign all these wrestlers and do nothing with them just so that we keep them away from Tony Khan and AEW. That legitimate story pissed me off. Aleister Black, Angel Garza, and Andrade have fallen out of favor with Vince McMahon. Why? Why? I don't get it. At the end of all of this, there'll be nobody left to push on Monday Night Raw, and there'll be nobody left for the fans to actually find on Monday Night Raw that has any credibility whatsoever. You would have buried everybody, and then you have nothing left on the show, and nobody to blame but yourselves. We're going to go over why. It's fucking disgusting. but we're going to go over why. Paul Heyman was once upon a time the executive director of Monday Night Raw. Everything that he wanted to do continues to be buried. Everything he wanted to do continues to get deleted on Monday night to make way for the new vision of Vince McMahon and Bruce Prichard, who is responsible for burying all that Paul Heyman wanted to build up on Monday Night Raw. We'll go over that as well. Funny story about Vince McMahon and him not wanting guys like Cesaro and Rusev, now Miro, in WWE, and rightfully so. Why he didn't want them to have first names. We'll go over the ratings report as well for SmackDown, Raw, and NXT against AEW. Oh, man, I see some funny shit, bro. I've seen some funny shit, but the NXT ratings, man, they made me chuckle big time this week, man. We'll go over the ratings report. Like I said, possible spoiler for Roman Reigns and Jey Uso at the Clash of the Champions pay-per-view. Wobbly Walrus. And I got news on Ricochet leaving WWE. Shoot him out of that cannon and get him far away from WWE, man. Will we hear pew, pew, pew in AEW? No. I got news on that because there was a report from WrestleVotes that happened last week about a potential current WWE superstar giving word to them and then in turn saying, I can't say anything for obvious reasons, but there is a current superstar who told me he will not be resigning with the WWE. Does it line up to be Ricochet? I gave you guys some mentions about who it could possibly be. Adam Cole, Daniel Bryan, Samoa Joe, Sami Zayn. Could be on any one of those guys, but now it seems to be, and it seems to have fallen in line with it being Ricochet. So we'll go over that today on the podcast as well. And the real reason why Mickie James versus Asuka on Monday Night Raw was stopped abruptly. She is not injured, as reports were saying this week. We'll go over that. Lana and Natalya news, backstage news on Braun Strowman and Dabba Kato on Raw Underground. What is Adam Pearce doing on Monday Night Raw? And do we have a new Raw GM unofficially? And WWE has... Oh, man, I love being right. I love being right, man. Where are you now? Where are you now? Huh? I don't hear any fucking one of you now. Why? Because I was right, of course. WWE has no real plan for limited Keith Lee. Oh, really now? Man, it's so hard to fucking decipher that one. Just watch the fucking show. Big show today. Big show today, man. Let me drink my Moscow Mule. I need some fuel. Delicious. Delicious. Anyway, today's show, man. Happy to have them back on board. The Ridge. Ridge.com/script. They will be, hopefully, into 2021, of course. But they will be with me through all of the holiday season, man. I'm telling you. We're going to have a big Ridge unboxing on next week's show, man. I got a new leather case, a new leather phone case, a wallet leather phone case for my iPhone 11 Pro Max from the Ridge, and we will be showing off the beautiful and unbelievable commuter backpack from the Ridge, man. I'm telling you. If you guys need any gift options this holiday season, because you know it's coming quick. It's already the end of September. Middle of September, we're going to be nearing the end of September. And before you know it, man, we'll be blowing through Halloween. We'll be blowing through Thanksgiving. And then before you know it, fucking Santa Claus will be here. And you got to leave the fucking cookies and milk outside for that fat slob to fucking eat and then leave potentially your gifts underneath the tree. And then JD will be upstairs in bed drunk off eggnog. So that's the way it's going to happen this holiday season. But all joking aside, Ridge is going to be with me all holiday season, man. Ridge.com/script. We will talk about them a little bit later on in the show. 10% off when you use code SCRIPT at checkout, man. They got backpacks, they got charging blocks, they got knives, they got the big main event in the Ridge wallet, man. I love it. Absolutely love it. Happy to have them on board here for the podcast. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's on the Twitter and Instagram at JD from NY206. Thank you guys very much for that. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Great if you do so, because YouTube will notify you when I upload and when I go live. So make sure you guys go and do that for me. If you want to support the podcast, multiple ways to do that. One, patreon.com/JD from NY206. You guys can go and get your t-shirts on bonfire.com. Go and get your t-shirts, man. Exclusive home of the Off the Script shop is Bonfire. And then we got the masks. Mouthmasker.com/OTS. Go and get your new black Off the Script masks in stock. And they are great, man. I love them. And if you got to wear a fucking mask outside this holiday season, you might as well support the podcast and wear the podcast on your face, man, because this is the #1 podcast in all of the IWC right here on YouTube. If you guys missed any videos that I've uploaded this week, man, I've been a busy bee. Monday Night Raw live, AEW live, 2 extras, no NXT review because fuck NXT. I'm so sick and tired of NXT. Constantly letting me down, man. Constantly letting me down. I will not be supporting garbage until they get things right. So if you guys want my thoughts on NXT, too fucking bad. NXT was shit this week. And I'm not doing a goddamn live stream because every time I watch Monday Night Raw, it's bad enough, but every time I watch NXT, man, it's reminding me of Monday Night Raw. Give me a break. And nobody gives a fuck about it anyway. I'll be wasting my fucking time. Go live on YouTube. There's 400 fucking people watching me for NXT. Why? Because nobody gives a shit about it. Why? Because it's not cool anymore. Why? Because it's not good. Why? Because they are very similar now to the main roster. Why? Because they're desperate. Why? Because they are desperate. They got AEW on the mind, and Tony Khan is fucking pulling the strings over NXT. Love it. Absolutely love it. Anyway, man. Anyway, let's get into the top story here. You're not going to believe this one. Bruce Prichard. Bruce Prichard is the sole reason why Vince McMahon is not a big fan of Angel Garza and Andrade on Monday Night Raw. Does not consider them top stars. Now, on Monday Night Raw, Selena Vega broke up. Well, I guess the group of Vega, Garza, and Andrade broke up. Selena Vega, Angel Garza, and Andrade were all together, and then Vega walked away. She said, "Enough is enough. It's time for a change," said Selena Vega. So they pulled Selena Vega away from these two guys, and now they are feuding her with Asuka. Because that's what everybody wants to see, right? Somebody that never is in 1,000 lifetimes going to be taken as a serious threat to Asuka. I don't think she's won a fucking wrestling match all year. So WWE, of course, would make her the #1 contender for Asuka and the Raw Women's Championship. Now, the bad news is Vega's getting a title match. Nobody gives a fuck. But the bad news in this situation is Garza and Andrade, they ain't doing much of anything now because Vince McMahon is said to not see them as main event talent. I wonder what happened there. Wasn't there reports of Vince McMahon earlier in the year, like after WrestleMania, where there were reports of Vince McMahon looking at Garza and seeing a young Eddie Guerrero? I don't understand what happened there. I really don't. You know, it's so fucking bizarre to me. Everybody sees the true potential in Angel Garza. Everybody. The guy is fucking great at what he does. Charisma. I mean, the guy has more charisma in his fucking pinky than most of the WWE roster. He's great in the ring. He's just a great pro wrestler. He's got that charisma. He's got that attitude that is must-see. And Vince McMahon said he was a young Eddie Guerrero from reports that I read coming out of WrestleMania. What exactly happened? WWE is booking these guys on TV, and it's almost as if WWE puts them in these situations and then somehow it becomes their fault. WWE books these guys like shit, and then at the end of the day, Vince McMahon doesn't see them as top guys. Why doesn't Vince McMahon see them as top guys? Maybe you should be asking your fucking self that question. I don't get it. I mean, Garza, he's got more opportunities with every fucking female on the roster than he does in the ring on Monday night. They made him into this playboy on Monday night, and they deviated away from what really brought him to the dance, the attitude and the wrestling. Now it's all Lethal Lothario giving roses to every broad on Monday Night Raw, and that's it. That's it. Andrade, don't get me started. Andrade is, listen, you might not be a fan of Andrade because of the English language and the fact that he doesn't speak English all that well. And I don't know what the fuck he's going to do without Selena Vega. That is a ship floating down a sea of nothingness on Monday Night Raw. He's doomed without Selena Vega. This guy will not be able to speak for himself, and Vince McMahon is going to hate him even more than this report already states. Vince McMahon hates both of these guys. So what are you doing with Andrade? All of a sudden, Andrade is now not a main event guy. When Charlotte was there, everybody wanted to fucking rub elbows with Andrade. They wanted to make Andrade happy. Now that Charlotte Flair is not there, now Andrade really doesn't matter. So we go back and forth with Andrade because he's engaged to the android. But now that she's not there, it doesn't really bode well for Mr. CN Almas. He's always been rough around the edges. Always. When I first seen him in NXT, he looked like somebody that would be fucking the guy that shows up to your door after you call 1-800-STRIPOGRAM. He looked exactly like the type of guy that would pop out of a fucking cake at a bachelorette party. Then they put Vega with him. And the storyline was great. He was losing. And then he hooks up with his old business associate, and things really turn around business-wise for Andrade. Instantly made into a world title contender, had one of the best matches that this company ever produced with Johnny Gargano at TakeOver Philadelphia. And then they called him up to the main roster soon after that. I don't know what they were thinking, but this guy, if you compare him to what he was then to what he is now, I don't know how you could possibly fuck that up. I really don't. These two guys got the shaft. Now, Dave Meltzer talked about this on the Wrestling Observer Live. Meltzer said, and I quote, "When Heyman got replaced, I was told Aleister Black and Andrade were two guys that were really going to be in trouble because Vince doesn't necessarily see them compared to what Heyman seen in them. It appeared that Selena Vega is splitting up from Garza and Andrade. I can see Garza being forgotten, but maybe not. But if there is a split, Andrade feels like he's going to be the one. If they're going to do Garza versus Andrade, it's probably going to be Garza that goes over and Andrade's the one that gets forgotten." End quote. I would absolutely agree with that. Garza could speak for himself. Garza has a lot going on, more so for himself than Andrade has going on for himself. But at the end of the day, who's going to give a shit about an Andrade-Garza feud? Who's the heel and who's the babyface? WWE has portrayed these guys like shit that at the end of the day, legitimately nobody is going to care about these guys. Ever. So I don't know what you're doing here with this feud. What you've done with them has given them no platform to succeed whatsoever, and all the fuel needed for Vince McMahon to put his foot down, even more so on what he already thinks about Garza and Andrade. And what is it with Aleister Black? What is it with Aleister Black? Ricochet, Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa were all called up at the same time. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, they were actually in a fucking NXT title feud, and WWE was teaming them up on the main roster. Why? Because Vince McMahon wanted them, he needed them, thinking outside the box because there's nothing going on in the box on Monday Night Raw as far as creative goes. Tommaso Ciampa further injured himself. That TakeOver main event was ruined because Vince doesn't watch NXT. He didn't know they were feuding. He wants who he wants, and he got them. And Triple H didn't even know. No matter what Triple H wants to tell you in that situation, he didn't know. Aleister Black and Ricochet got called up. They were in the middle of winning the Dusty Tag Team Classic, which they inevitably lost in the tag team title match at TakeOver New York. They won the tournament. And then they lost to the Viking Raiders, the War Raiders, TakeOver New York in a phenomenal tag team match. WWE brought Aleister Black and Ricochet up to the main roster as a tag team. That they continued, but they went the opposite way with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Now, I don't know what happened from that moment. Ricochet and Aleister Black, they were really being pushed as the future. Black was getting wins. Ricochet was getting wins. It looked like WWE was going to be pushing both of these guys on Monday night to be the new blood of WWE. And then all of a sudden, Aleister Black got drafted to SmackDown. He sat in a broom closet for 7 months. He didn't do anything at all. They brought him back. Everybody was moving on. And they just left Aleister Black behind. Then they developed this gimmick with Aleister Black. He wants to pick a fight, right? He wants to pick a fight. Who's going to pick a fight with me? So they left it up to people to go seek Aleister Black because that was their way of pretty much writing, hey, we got nothing for this guy, so we'll leave it up to everybody else who wants to go and find him. It was a metaphor for WWE not knowing what the fuck to do with Aleister Black. They feuded him with Cesaro, some pretty damn good matches between those two guys, and then he went away again. And then Vince McMahon, all of a sudden, decides that Aleister Black is not a main event guy. A lot of nothing. So much nothing, there really isn't much from that moment on up until what we see now in Aleister Black. He feuded with Seth Rollins for a little bit. His eye got taken out. He was teaming with Owens and Joe and befriended Humberto Carrillo. Guy hasn't challenged for a major championship. Guy hasn't even sniffed a major championship. Guy had his fucking complete entrance taken away from him. WWE added that little fucking creak sound to when he raises up during the entrance, the smoke and the lights and the candles and the scary fucking music. The hardcore fucking hard rock music was gone. Everything about Aleister Black, the fucking font, the crazy looking font that materialized in his nameplate graphic, all gone. This guy was stripped of everything that made him original. And I look at Aleister Black in NXT and I think back, every time he was on TV, he kind of stopped what you were doing. Every time he was on TV, and granted, this was NXT at 1 hour, the love that Triple H had for Aleister Black and the love that NXT had for Aleister Black, how great he was, how cool he was, how defiant he was, everything was just working there. But in typical WWE fashion, nobody on the main roster gives a shit about NXT. Nobody on the main roster watches NXT. So when they get these guys, they don't know what they've done previously. They only see them for what they are aesthetically. Then they go and change everything without knowing that if you watched NXT, there'd be nothing to change. Because Triple H got it right. Everything down from the in-ring aspect to the theatrics, to the entrance, to the music, to the lighting. Everything. Perfect. Perfect. Same thing with Keith Lee. Same thing with Keith Lee. Why change? WWE only sees what they want to see. They don't see what these guys have done previously. And that's where they fuck up. They break them down and build them back up in their main roster image, and then people want to claim, oh, NXT's a failure. Not everybody's cut out for the main roster. Not everybody's cut out for the main roster. The fucking people writing this show aren't cut out for the fucking business. They aren't cut out to hold the position that they do on Monday and Friday night. Then Aleister Black, he gets taken out by Seth Rollins. You hear this report, you read these reports, oh, Vince McMahon loves Aleister Black. Vince McMahon is very high on Aleister Black. All the reports were refuted as being false, right? They were debunked. But Vince McMahon said Aleister Black was missing one thing. He was missing something to take him to that next level. He was missing something so that he could break through the glass ceiling. What was it? Nobody knew what was missing. I'll tell you what was missing. Nothing. Nothing was missing. How do you go from comparisons of a potential next Undertaker to what we see now? I mean, we got fucking Aleister Black portraying Solid Snake on Monday Night Raw. I mean, how do you fuck that up? How do you fuck Aleister Black up? I don't get it. I'm not watching NXT, Aleister Black. I'm watching this.
This is my favorite Chinese saying. Better to be first among roosters than last among bulls. Of course, the meaning's clear. If you have to choose between being a chicken or a cow, pick the chicken. Cows are always being messed with by aliens. Cattle mutilations are up, you know. Why go looking for trouble, right? If an enemy spots you, you'll be in more trouble than a cow on a UFO. You stay out of their sight.
Why would aliens be in an old Chinese proverb?
Everyone knows they've been visiting us for thousands of years.
News to me.
WWE has legitimately taken everything that we loved about Aleister Black, everything that Triple H did perfectly with Aleister Black, and it turned him into a low-budget, great value version of Metal Gear Solid. And they turned him into Solid Snake. This guy's got an eye patch. He's got black leather pants now. His entrance is completely finished. It's gone. No more entrance for Aleister Black. No more cool Code Orange theme music for Aleister Black. Guy legitimately is wearing a bandage over his eye. He's got a black eyeball. That was the one thing he was missing. A black eyeball. That's what they did. Now, it was reported in this news article that no matter if Vince McMahon maybe thought something else about these guys a couple of months prior, all that's going on now is Bruce Prichard, if he doubles down on not liking them, if Bruce Prichard says he doesn't like Andrade or Garza or Humberto or Ricochet or Aleister Black, then he goes and tells Vince McMahon, and that is it. Because Bruce Prichard is number one in command in Vince McMahon's circus. And if the number one man in charge outside of Vince McMahon says he doesn't like something, then Vince McMahon is going to be more prone to listening to number one. That's the story of the situation here, folks. That is the moral of this terrible story with all this unused talent on Monday Night Raw. Don't even get me started on Ali. Don't even get me started. I mean, I could talk about Ricochet. I could talk about what he did in NXT. It's not worth my breath. It's not worth losing my voice over ranting and raving because nothing's going to change at all. It's just sad that everything we've seen from these guys, they had future written all over them in NXT. And now all they have written all over them is free agent. Because there's no possible way any one of these guys could be happy with their current position in the WWE. Meltzer also noted how great Vega is as a manager, which we all knew already. And this singles push might not be the best idea for Selena Vega, even if she's in line for a Raw Women's title shot. How is she in line? She hasn't won a fucking match. Unreal. Meltzer said, and I quote, Selena Vega as a wrestler is going to be like taking Lana away from managing and making her a wrestler is going to have the same result. Even though Selena Vega is a better wrestler than Lana, She is so much better as a manager than she is a wrestler. Again, it's another example of doing something with no regard to really the people involved. We've seen it a million times when they split Rusev and Lana and they split Rusev and Aiden English. It's like they do it and they do it with no idea of what to do with any of the people, and then careers just essentially go nowhere from there. I see Andrade from this week's show. When I saw the split, it was like, oh God, that thing with Andrade is going to come true exactly like I was told. End quote. Buried. Absolutely buried. This has been the same pattern in WWE for years. And then you got people blind to the fact on social media that don't see this happening before their very eyes. Everything is fucking sunshine and sunflowers and rainbows, and nothing can go wrong in WWE. Open your fucking eyes. Open your eyes. WWE creative is absolutely fucking atrocious. Why am I negative? This story is the epitome of why I'm fucking negative. It's been the pattern in WWE for years. Usually when a team breaks up, either one or both gets pushed down the card. Hopefully this does not happen with Garza and Andrade. But if you have anything to base this off of, what happens to WWE tag teams? These guys weren't even a tag team. Just look at who they are. They're not American. They're not white. That's why. They don't speak English. This is the fact of the matter, folks. WWE will not push these guys because they are Latino. WWE will not push anybody that is black because of their skin color. Where's Bianca Belair? Why isn't Bianca Belair on Monday Night Raw in a priority position? And why is Bianca Belair looked at as Montez Ford's wife and not Bianca fucking Belair? That's what I want to know. How you have somebody in that company that's potentially more superior than Charlotte Flair and you're not utilizing her on TV? Man, oh man, if you needed a reason as to fucking fire anybody, that one takes the cake, really. But they won't push Bianca Belair. Why? Because she has the potential to be better than Charlotte Flair, and you know WWE doesn't want anything to happen to their queen. You know it. And why isn't Bianca Belair being pushed? Because she doesn't represent what WWE sees in a female talent. Look at Bianca Belair, folks. Look at Bianca Belair. Why isn't she being pushed? Open your fucking eyes. It's not a problem for me. If I'm running WWE, Bianca Belair is my fucking Charlotte Flair. Bianca Belair is my main champion in that women's division. But to these people, Bianca Belair is nothing more than fucking seat number 7 in Titus Catering. Awful. Now, who is responsible for burying all of these Paul Heyman talents that he wanted to push on Monday Night Raw? We mentioned Black, we mentioned Andrade, we mentioned Humberto and Bianca and whoever. Ricochet, Apollo, Cedric. You guys get the point. Ali. Ali's another one. Ringside News has an exclusive. And they learned that the feeling backstage is that the reason why Vince McMahon isn't high on Black and Andrade, it has to do with Bruce Prichard being in his ear, like I mentioned before. If you remember, they had an exclusive about Bruce Prichard, and Bruce Prichard actually invented the Wobbly Walrus character, and this falls in that same line of thinking, which we will go over in a second about Wobbly Walrus. Bruce Prichard actually invented Wobbly Walrus. Now, a member of the creative team with very close knowledge to the situation told us here at Ringside News that people like Andrade, Selena Vega, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy, Humberto Carrillo, and AOP were all sitting in SmackDown catering doing nothing. It was explained that they couldn't get the time of day from Eric Bischoff or Bruce Prichard on SmackDown. Prichard was Bischoff's right-hand man prior to Bischoff's termination. Prichard was eventually appointed executive director of SmackDown, and after Paul Heyman's firing, Prichard was put over both main roster brands. Paul Heyman took the group of superstars under his wing and decided he wanted to push them on Raw. That group was eventually jokingly referred to as the SmackDown catering crew. Those were the young superstars who Paul Heyman wanted to push because Paul Heyman had an idea to build for the future. Rinse and repeat is WWE's motto. He wanted to build for the future. You start to give people chances and you'll see who is going to be worth your time and who is not going to be worth your time. Do you have a breakout superstar on your hands or do you got a dud? How do you know unless you give them a try? How do you know unless you put them on TV? How do you know unless you put them in a big match situation? How does anybody know? There's no fucking fans! Things obviously didn't work out for several of those names. Humberto Carrillo has been off TV for quite a while now. And then AOP was released. Aleister Black and Andrade are seemingly being pushed down the card at rapid rates, while Murphy and Selena Vega seem to be the only two with anything going on right now. It was additionally told to us at Ringside News that with Bruce Prichard as the primary voice in Vince's ear, these people who need to be championed up the ladder don't have that anymore with Heyman no longer running Raw. At this point, a growing internal sentiment is that WWE is throwing a lot of unnecessary young talent into the garbage. End quote. Folks, if that doesn't anger you, I don't know what will. If that last line doesn't anger you, I don't know what to tell you. WWE's taking a lot of these guys, men and women, and throwing them, a lot of young talent, and throwing them into the garbage without any rhyme or reason. So why are they employed? You're in the business to make stars. You're in the business to provide us with a pro wrestling show. You got some of the best pro wrestlers on this planet, and you are treating them as if they don't matter. Then why give them a job? How is that looked at as a good business decision? You're just throwing money down the fucking drain. Never mind their talent. You're throwing money down the drain. It also exposes the fact that you don't give a shit about your job and you don't give a shit about booking a good show. In turn, you don't give a shit about the fans because the show that you give us every single week is illogical, it's fucking ridiculous, it's childish. I'm embarrassed to watch it with fucking anybody. Anybody. Doesn't make sense whatsoever. It's the same show every fucking week. Nothing makes sense at all. Championships mean nothing. Pay-per-views mean less than nothing. I don't know what needs to be done here. At the end of the day, who is there going to be left on Monday Night Raw to push? What do they want? You know, Seth Rollins isn't going to be around for, however many months he's got left. Where's he going? He's going to be home. He's about to have a child. Or Becky Lynch is about to have a child, but he's going to need to be home to support her in that situation. How long do you think Randy Orton's going to be around? How long do you think Brock Lesnar's going to be around and able to do what he does, right? I don't understand it. Instead of finding the next Roman Reigns or the next Rock or the next John Cena, you don't know what you have because you take these guys that Triple H has pretty much presented to you on a silver platter and you throw them away. What is it? Are you stuck in that old school mentality and you really don't know true talent when you see it? Are you really that out of touch with everything? Is that it? Or is it maybe a matter of fact that Triple H is doing everything that you guys are doing at a much higher level? Not anymore lately because Vince McMahon and the main roster has now seized NXT. But I'm talking about 2 years ago. I'm talking about NXT from 2 years ago. Is it a situation where Triple H has done everything he has in NXT and made everybody on the main roster, including Vince McMahon, look like fucking amateur hour? Is that it? Is it jealousy that Triple H came in and ran NXT the way the main roster should be run? Because if you don't think that Vince McMahon and WWE management have heard the rumblings online about, we want Triple H to run the main roster, things would be right. If you don't think they heard that or if you don't think they know that, you're an idiot. Of course they know that. And they're doing everything now to try and stop that from happening. That will never happen. That will never happen. Just look at NXT now. The NXT now with Triple H in charge is a failure. That's why they're on Wednesday nights. That's why they're going up against AEW and they're getting their ass handed to them every single week. They've done that because Vince McMahon ultimately wanted to treat NXT like a meat shield and prove to Triple H that he isn't really all that great as the fans and social media and the IWC think he is when he ran NXT Picture Perfect 2 years ago. This is the failure that is my son-in-law. So look at everything that he's done. Look at everything that Vince McMahon has done. Sabotage literally every aspect. Bruce has sabotaged the main roster in his position on both shows. These guys want to see the Corbins and the Sheamuses and the Seth Rollinses and the Roman Reigns. They want to see those types of guys. Anybody that got called up from NXT, the Randy Ortons. Anybody that got called up from NXT, doomed. Doomed. WWE will never see anything in them because they really weren't a part of the WWE to begin with. They were only there to poach the indies, to make NXT another viable brand in WWE. They couldn't stay there forever because WWE needed to replenish the main roster with everybody previously that they've ruined. And now they're dipping into the NXT cookie jar and continuing to ruin their shows and their talent, rinse and repeat over and over and over again. This is disgusting. It really is disgusting. At the end of the day, there will be nobody left to push. And at the end of the day, folks, I mean this with every fiber of my being. Yes, we know Vince McMahon is directly responsible for ruining these shows. But at the end of the day, I honestly think we need to look at what is the real root of the problem, and that is Bruce Prichard. Bruce Prichard needs to go. Bruce Prichard needs to be fired from Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. Vince McMahon needs to be overthrown as CEO, as majority shareholder in WWE. Otherwise, things will never change. People are waking up. People are waking up to the fact that Vince McMahon has lied every single conference call with shareholders. It's not anything Vince McMahon is talking about. It's the fact of the matter that he's not pushing stars, and creative is fucking absolutely the worst it's ever been. Why are the ratings down? Why isn't nobody watching? Why is the interest in the product at basement fucking bottom of the barrel levels? It's WWE creative. And who is WWE creative, folks? Vince McMahon and Bruce Prichard. Things need to change, and it needs to start with Bruce. Vince ain't going anywhere. But if we could get Bruce out of power, then that's what we should start with. We might not cut the head off the snake, but we'll fucking pop that pimple that needs to fucking be popped. Get him the fuck out of there. And if WWE wants to fucking bring up contract negotiations for a Ricochet or a Black or any of these guys that have been obviously frustrated, you don't think they read these fucking stories? You don't think they listen to these podcasts? You're an idiot. When that time comes for contract renegotiations, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? I think every one of us have said our piece. We're for them. Now it's up to those guys when their contracts are up to go elsewhere and make yourselves happy and get away from the disease-ridden fucking WWE creative. The WWE locker room. Get rid of that. Move away. Get out. Distance yourself from Bruce and Vince McMahon. Nothing will change as long as they are there. Nothing. How does it feel to know that you have nobody on your side backstage and creative? That you cannot talk to anybody about getting on TV or being in a major storyline or being put in a title situation or having your career advanced? How does it feel to have nobody? Nobody. Just based off that alone, I'd be gone as soon as my fucking 90 days is up. Or if their contract runs out, be a good little soldier, let it run out. There's no 90 days. Absolutely pathetic, man. Another story on Vince McMahon here. Why Vince McMahon did not want Cesaro and Rusev to have a first name. I think this is something that everybody complained about when we first heard Antonio Cesaro and Alexander Rusev. I think when time went on, we realized that Vince McMahon made the right decision. Now it just kind of rolls off the tongue. But when I read to you what I'm about to read to you, it's one of the very few things that the old man got correct. Meltzer talked about this, and he recounted what was said at a meeting a few years ago about Rusev's name. There was a meeting, and at the meeting, Vince goes, "We gotta drop that first name." He continued, Vince, and he said, "If we call him Alexander Rusev, people are gonna start calling him Alex, and Alex is not a good name for a heel." That's the real reason, so that's why they dropped the first name. Same thing happened with Cesaro. The reason why they dropped Antonio Cesaro was because Vince said people are going to start calling him Tony, and Tony's not a heel name, so we got to drop the first name. End quote. Brian Alvarez then asked why Vince McMahon didn't drop his first name, but in fact, McMahon did drop his first name when he was a regular character on TV. That is why the Mr. McMahon character was born. The names of people seem to be a big thing for Vince McMahon. For various reasons, many wrestlers have lost their first or last names over the years. For example, Ashley Flair was just known as Ashley Flair, and then they changed their name to Charlotte, right? Or WWE changed her name to Charlotte, and then they renamed her Charlotte Flair. Several different name changes during her main roster run, or NXT run into her main roster run. In the 1970s, Lou Albano would refer to McMahon as Junior, but he hated being called that live on air. So that was a funny story, just to kind of go with all the wrong that Vince McMahon does, and the fact that, you know, Vince does get something right every now and then. It's very rare, but he does get it right. And it was something that we complained about, but I think at the end of the day, it kind of fits them better. Rusev fit better. Cesaro fit better. You know, Apollo had his name changed just to Apollo. That looked ridiculous. That sounded ridiculous. Apollo Crews. They changed his name because they thought it was too similar to Terry Crews, the actor. Apollo did not sound good at all. It sounds like I'm watching fucking some movie about something being lifted off into fucking outer space. Apollo 19. You know, who the fuck is Apollo? What's Apollo? You know, Apollo Crews. Thank God they went back and reverted it back to what it originally was. Same thing with Ali. He was Mustafa Ali for the longest time. And then when he made his SmackDown debut, he kept the name for a little bit, and then they dropped it, and then he was just known as Ali. Who's Ali? Mustafa Ali is the way it should be on WWE TV. I don't know what you guys thought of it. I fucking hated that. I would have never gotten over that. That would have never rolled off the lips like Mustafa Ali does. Mustafa is just a powerful name. Why would you take that away from him? You know? Same thing's coming with Dominic Dijakovic. You know that. As soon as WWE has this guy on TV, Dominic, we're going to get Dominic Mysterio. We're going to have two Dominics on the fucking show. He's going to be known as Dijakovic. Simple. You know it's coming. You don't need me to tell you that. Dominic is a babyface name, and he's running an Antifa-like fucking rebel group in WWE. Run by Dominic? Give me a break. Dijakovic is what he's going to be renamed as. But I get Vince McMahon, and I get where he's coming from. I don't mind that at all. We mind it when it hits, but at the end of the day, it's probably for the best. Same thing with Elias, right? Elias had his name shortened, and everybody loves Elias. Well, not me, but everybody is very fond of Elias. You know, Big E Langston was another one. Big E Langston. They just shortened it to Big E. On and on. On and on. You guys get the point. Vince gets it right once in a blue. I don't mind him having a problem with shortening people's names if it makes sense. Some of them don't make sense, but the majority of them do. Ricochet. We talked about Ricochet. Ricochet is apparently the guy that is now rumored to be leaving WWE when his contract is up. I made mention it could be Samoa Joe, it could be Daniel Bryan, it could be Adam Cole, baby. But now apparently people have uncovered that it more than likely is Ricochet based on social media tweets. Ricochet was brought to the WWE main roster, like I mentioned, with Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Aleister Black. They were all brought up to the WWE main roster without consulting Triple H. That's where they went wrong immediately. And like I said, if that did not happen, we might have gotten Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano at TakeOver New York instead of Adam Cole. WWE got lucky. with that match being one of the best matches that they've ever put on. Now, following Ciampa's hiatus due to injury, Gargano was sent back to NXT. Black and Ricochet remained on Raw, but not much was done with them. They dabbled in the tag team division. They didn't win tag team gold. I remember that first year they were at WrestleMania. They challenged for the NXT titles, tag team titles, the Monday Night Raw titles, and then the SmackDown titles all in 1 week. All in 1 week. So that was pretty amazing. Absolutely amazing for them. And I said to myself, this has to be WWE really giving these guys a big rub. Why put them in that situation if WWE didn't want to push them? Now, not much was done with them after that. And there was a previous report that a current superstar, by WrestleVotes, a current superstar isn't planning on re-signing with the WWE. Rumors kicked off in a big way this week that superstar in question is now Ricochet. Ricochet is still featured on Raw. He's currently in a feud with the Hurt Business, but that has seemed to stall in recent weeks. He lost to Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander turned heel. He joined the Hurt Business. Where else is that going on Monday night? Not anywhere particularly interesting. Things could always pick up for Ricochet, but Vince McMahon lost confidence in him a long time ago for unknown reasons. So people are now piecing it together, and Ricochet signed a WWE contract in January of 2018. So he's done. He's done in 3 years. Normally, when WWE signed people, they brought them in for an introductory 3 years. That's what they did. The NXT contract that he signed was 3 years. January 2018. He was restricted with the Lucha Underground contract, stopped taking independent dates, joined NXT, and we all remember what he did upon impact in NXT. Great. North American champion, great matches with Gargano and Adam Cole. Really great shit by Ricochet, and Velveteen Dream was another one. So it's September, middle of September right now, and Ricochet's contract could be coming up in January 2021. If he shuts his mouth and he lets the contract ride out and he becomes a free agent, there will be no 90-day non-compete. Now, if WWE released him, they would have the 90 days go into effect. So what is WWE going to do here? If WrestleVotes is already tweeting that Ricochet, not directly, that if somebody is not signing with the WWE upon contract expiration, and that is indeed Ricochet, WWE knows who that is, of course, because talks would have probably been underway at this moment. If Ricochet tells WWE that he's not re-signing, burial on TV every single week, WWE will bury him, and if they know good and well that Ricochet is not signing with the company, they will probably end up releasing him for unknown reasons, just so that the 90 days does go into effect, and that he can't do anything for 3 months. That's what they did with Akam and Razor. They just let them go. No reason was given. They were ready to come back on TV, and WWE let them go, and now they can't do anything for 3 months. And who's going to know who Ricochet is? Who's going to know who... Well, everybody will know who Ricochet is. Who's going to know who AOP is? Nobody. Nobody. They'll show up wherever they show up, and it won't be that big of a deal. But when Ricochet leaves the WWE, no matter what happens, everybody and their mother, their sister, their father, their brother, their aunt, their uncle, are going to start looking at Ricochet and looking at bringing him in. Is he going to go back to New Japan? Is he going to go to AEW? Is he going to go to Impact? Is he going to go to MLW? Is he going to go to Ring of Honor? We don't know. But man, the world is his oyster. It's like life has stopped for 2 years. Great run in NXT for 1 year, and then all of a sudden it stopped dead. Because Vince McMahon doesn't like how you look, he doesn't like how you sound. Maybe he thinks Ricochet looks a little prissy. I don't know what it is. I think everybody watching NXT when Ricochet was there, seeing future world champion, the way he was portrayed, he felt like a big deal. On Monday Night Raw, they, again, legitimately cut his legs out from underneath him before he even had a chance to fly. Why? I don't know. I don't get it. And I know for a fact, I would be a betting man, and I would win a lot of money. I would absolutely win. I would be a betting man and say that Triple H is fucking angry, and there are people in that company that are fucking angry with WWE main roster management over their treatment of Ricochet. Triple H is probably asking himself, what the fuck are you people doing? What are you doing? Paul Heyman wanted to push this guy to the moon. Vince and Bruce do not. That's all that matters. And everything that Triple H has done, and it's going to happen time and time again, everything that Triple H has done with guys like Ricochet, it's not just going to be Ricochet, it's going to be a possible Adam Cole. What's going to happen to Adam Cole when he makes the main roster? What's going to happen to the Undisputed Era? What's going to happen to the Velveteen Dream? What's going to happen to these guys? It's happening right now with Keith Lee. It's happening with Matt Riddle. When these guys' contracts are up, who is going to be the one blamed here? How much is Triple H going to have to fucking cry and rant and bitch and moan about what the main roster is doing? At the end of the day, Triple H set these guys up for success, and they didn't want anything that Triple H had to offer them. And in turn, they fucked themselves. Because if Ricochet goes to AEW, folks, game changer. Game changer. You do not want to unleash Ricochet on TNT. You don't. Somebody that gets the WWE TV product, that's going to take everything he's learned in WWE to AEW, everything that he knows in that ring, which is probably better than half that fucking roster right now. You're going to unleash that on TNT, on AEW? You're just giving AEW fuel to win the ratings every single week. You're giving AEW fuel every time. Every time you release somebody like that, every time you drop the ball on someone like that, do you realize what you're doing? Every single time you drop somebody like a Ricochet, you're giving AEW hope of cutting down the years before it takes them to go to Monday night. And what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Monday Night Raw 2, 3, 4 years from now is going to be worse off than it is now, believe it or not. Every time you release somebody like that in the wild because you don't deem them to be a superstar or there's something about them you don't like, you're fueling AEW to continue their push to Monday night. And when that happens and they have a roster assembled, like I know they will, who's going to be to blame? Are you going to be to blame? Is it the fans? Is it Triple H? Is it the talent? Facts, facts, facts. Go ahead. Continue to bury a Matt Riddle. Continue to bury a Keith Lee. Continue to bury a Ricochet. Go ahead! You're adding to AEW moving to Monday night sooner rather than later. Moving on here, man. SmackDown. SmackDown rating was up on Friday, not this Friday, last Friday. WWE is still rolling into the Clash of Champions. They declared a new number one contender in Jey Uso. Showbuzz Daily reports that WWE Friday Night SmackDown scored an overnight average of 2.286 million viewers. They also pulled a strong 0.6 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. The previous week, WWE SmackDown pulled an overnight average of 2.1805 million viewers. They brought in 2.210 million viewers for the first hour and 2.151 in the second hour. They also earned a 0.6 in the 18 to 49 demographic for both hours. The week prior, Friday Night SmackDown viewership brought in a 2.1675 million viewership. They scored a 0.6 in the 18 to 49 demographic, so they remained even there. They averaged a 2.189 million viewers in the first hour and a 2.146 in the second hour. The previous week's episode of SmackDown drew an overnight average of 1.9785 million viewers. They also pulled in a 0.5 in the 18 to 49 demographic. They drew 1.932 million in the first hour and a 2.025 million in the second. So, over the last 3 weeks, we've seen an incremental rise in SmackDown. Now, why is that, folks? Is the show well written? No. Is the show worth watching? Absolutely not. Is the show captivating and interesting? No. Well, JD, why are the ratings up then? It must be a good show. Folks, when you have somebody like Roman Reigns come back when you have someone like Roman Reigns as the Universal Champion and you build a show around Roman Reigns, the ratings will remain consistent. Somebody like Roman Reigns is going to keep people watching. That's why he's there. That's why he was brought back to television. And that's why he was placed on SmackDown. If this was Monday Night Raw and Roman Reigns was on Monday Night Raw, you would see an incremental rise in the ratings on Monday night. Roman Reigns is the reason why SmackDown's ratings are up. It has nothing to do with the show. Roman Reigns is in 2 segments, 3 segments, maybe an intro, a skit backstage, a promo, or a backstage segment, and then the main event. That's it. Everything else is not good. Otis, Heavy Machinery, Miz and Morrison's, that shit's not good. Baron Corbin and Sheamus, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn. I love Sami Zayn, but, I mean, it's not really all that interesting for the IC title at all. Tag team division's non-existent. You got Cesaro and Nakamura versus the Lucha House Party. Who gives a shit? The show is not good at all. It's Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is the reason why SmackDown's ratings are up. Absolutely nothing more than that. If Roman Reigns wasn't there, then the ratings would be Monday Night Raw level. 1.7, 1.8, somewhere around that ballpark. So Roman Reigns, the biggest superstar in WWE, clearly an effect on SmackDown's ratings. Possible spoiler. This is the other big story here. This is the second of 3. The other one was what we talked about with Andrade, Black, Ricochet, and Garza, all those guys being buried on Monday night. This is the second of 3 big stories that I got on the podcast. Possible spoiler for Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso at Clash of Champions. I will be honest with you. I enjoyed what WWE did on SmackDown last week. I did. With Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Roman Reigns showed up late because Jey Uso made the match, challenged Baron Corbin and Sheamus to a match. And Roman Reigns' demeanor and his attitude was almost as if, you really want me to fight your battles after you made this match? I didn't agree to this. So he let Jey kind of run the match by himself and then came in when he felt like he needed to add his assistance. But don't get used to it. I loved it. I thought that was great. I was ready to shit all over this Jey Uso Roman Reigns situation. I really was. But I'm keeping an open eye. I'm keeping an open mind to this situation. I'm watching it very intently, and I'm keeping my mind open for all possible scenarios. I know what WWE is doing here, and I know that they want Roman Reigns to be a dastardly heel. What better way to do that than eviscerate a member of your own family? I think it's great. Now, Jey Uso doesn't make sense. Listen, I wouldn't have had Jey Uso pin Matt Riddle, but I think the premise of it, the entire situation in theory, is very good. But Jey Uso, I mean, outside of what he's been doing on SmackDown as of late, what has he done? The only thing I could possibly think of for Jey Uso, being that Jimmy is hurt, the only thing he's done was moderate a terrible karaoke segment with the ladies on SmackDown several months ago. That got WWE a lot of shit on social media. That doesn't necessarily constitute as somebody getting a WWE Universal Championship match. So yes, I do have my issues with it. But I think the issues in the grand scheme of things compared to the positive really aren't something for me to really kind of nag you with. They're not really something I'm going to beat you over the head with. Yeah, Jey Uso is not a quintessential Universal Champion candidate for Roman Reigns. Yeah, he hasn't done anything to deserve a Universal Championship at Clash of Champions. Yes, it exposes a greater issue in WWE that they don't have anybody in that role to just feed to Roman Reigns that's actually credible and to give off a vibe to the audience, hey, maybe this guy could do it. We all know Jey is not winning the title. We all know Jey is going in there and getting his ass kicked. WWE has a greater issue at hand here, and instead of giving that to Jey Uso, it could have been a very over babyface that gives that situation some believability. They don't have that because they failed to create new superstars. That's my issue. But getting Roman over as a heel is the most important situation, the most important priority right now. Now, Sportskeeda, take it with a grain of salt. You got some fucking geeks over there running Sportskeeda. Sportskeeda reports that even though Reigns will unsurprisingly defeat Uso, it's not going to be a squash victory. Not only that, Sportskeeda suggests that Reigns could pull off some dirty moves during the match. They say, and I quote, they are intending right now to make sure that when it comes to Roman, people will boo him. So it's not going to be a squash. Jey Uso will get his moment, but Roman will win convincingly. There will be heel moves involved. I think distractions via Paul Heyman is more likely. A low blow is possible. End quote. Now, that's all fine and good. That's all fine and good. Give Jey Uso, who is tough, with Jimmy, Uso Penitentiary. I mentioned this on SmackDown Live last week. Jey Uso needs to come out being Uso Penitentiary Jey Uso. No smiling, no dancing around, no clowning around and joking around because you're in there with your cousin. This is a WWE Universal title opportunity. You need to be tough. You need to go in there as serious as a fucking heart attack. None of this joking around. Now, it could be a competitive match. I don't necessarily believe in that. But if you want to make it somewhat competitive, mostly Roman Reigns, offensive, giving Jey Uso a situation where he can make a small babyface comeback but then fall in the end, very predictably, I'm fine with that. I don't want it to be a full-blown, all-out, drag-out affair where they go back and forth and it's like this 20-minute match and he brings Roman Reigns to the brink of defeat. No, we don't want that. We don't want that. That would be simply going against everything that Roman Reigns is with a new t-shirt, wreck everybody and leave. Or WWE could do something of a situation where Roman is the big dog and he orders Jey Uso to lay down because of who he is. He's the tribal chief. He's the Universal Champion. I hold more superiority over you and the family. I gave you this opportunity. Now you do what I say. You won the match. Nobody thought you were going to win the match. Now you're here. Now you do what I say. Lay down and let me pin you. That could be a situation as well. I'm not talking about a finger poke of doom type deal. But I would say Jey Uso laying down could be a potential outcome here. Now, what happens? It could be a situation where he forces him to lay down. Maybe they end up in cahoots afterwards. Maybe we get some sort of Samoan stable or Samoan group on SmackDown with Jey, and then when Jimmy comes back with the Usos and Roman Reigns has his muscle in the Usos. I don't know. Maybe you had Naomi in there to give it some female flavor as well. WWE has a lot that they could do here. But it being a competitive match, I don't necessarily think that's the right way to go. But at the end, all we know for sure is Roman's going to win, and he needs to destroy Jey Uso. And I mean destroy Jey Uso. Not just one Superman punch and one spear walk away. You need to enhance your heel act. Uso is a babyface. You need to draw blood here. You need to show everybody that you're the tribal chief of this fucking island. What are you going to do? You're going to take it easy on your cousin, or you're going to fucking beat this guy within an inch of his life and give everybody that vibe of, I fucking hate this guy. I can't wait to see somebody step up and really take this guy down. That's the type of heel I want to invest in. That's the type of heel I want on Friday night. Can WWE get us there? I don't know. I don't really have any hope in them. I'm waiting for them to drop the ball eventually with this Roman Reigns heel turn. Right now, we've seen everything kind of showcase itself on TV as being, you know what, this isn't bad. They're doing something right here. And with Paul Heyman in charge and Paul Heyman leading this creative direction with Roman Reigns, I'm a little bit more positive and optimistic about the situation. But WWE needs to be very careful here. Roman Reigns could be cool. Roman Reigns could be a badass. But you really need to start differentiating why this Roman Reigns is different than the old Roman Reigns. Because right now, all I see so far is this Roman Reigns being similar to the old Roman Reigns, but this Roman Reigns doesn't speak because he's got Paul Heyman speaking for him. We need to see him beat Uso within an inch of his life. We need to see Uso draw blood here at Clash of Champions. That's what needs to happen. Roman Reigns needs to be a heel where you look at him and you cannot wait for the next big babyface to come along and give him what he deserves. That is what I hope WWE is aiming for. Now, WWE's performed some savvy booking in order to turn Roman Reigns heel. He won a match at Payback with relative ease. I thought it sucked, having refused to sign a contract until Wyatt and Strowman were down following a giant suplex that broke the ring from the top rope. So it wouldn't be surprising in the slightest to see Roman Reigns take a page out of Ric Flair's book by performing a dirty trick or two to win the match against Uso. This would go a long way in building up his heel persona even more. Although it's very obvious who will win the match, Reigns versus Uso could enhance everything they need to with Roman Reigns. These two are strong in-ring performers, and we have yet to see these two face off on the main roster one-on-one. Roman Reigns is going to win, but this could go down as one of the better storyline arcs in all of WWE for 2020. So that is the possible spoiler. If people were wondering what was going to happen with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, that is the potential spoiler for what we could see at Clash of Champions. Ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to announce that we are now once again sponsored by The Ridge, and they will be with us all holiday season. This video is brought to you by The Ridge Wallet. It's light, it's sleek, it's industrial, it doesn't fold awkwardly or bulge in your back pocket, and it seriously changed my personal wallet situation. It's designed to fit easily into your front pocket. Most people are still using wallets designed in the 90s, carrying around old receipts, gift cards, hotel room keys. What an unorganized mess I'm sure your wallet is. Why have we moved on from large flip phones to smartphones but still carry around the same wallet? The Ridge Wallet holds up to 12 cards plus room for cash. You got a strap or a money clip. I like the money clip, but it's up to you guys. There's over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. I got the forged carbon. Absolutely love it. The best looking Ridge wallet in the entire line. I really love it. You guys know I love it, but don't take my word for it, man. I'm the most honest man in the entire YouTube wrestling community. Don't take my word for it. They got 30,000 5-star reviews for the Ridge wallet on Google. The durable materials means each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. You could buy one of these bad boys and own it for the rest of your life. The Ridge team is also so confident that you will like it, they will let you test drive it for 45 days. You can send it back for a full refund if you don't like it, which at this point, I don't know why you wouldn't fall in love with it almost immediately right out of the box. Now, guys, you know I love it. You know how I love how sleek it is and how stylish it is and how durable it is. But the one thing that I love about it most is that every Ridge wallet comes with an RFID blocking quality. So you know your cards, your information, your IDs, your credit card numbers, all your information is safe and secure by being inside the Ridge wallet. You guys can get yours today by going to ridge.com/script. Get 10% off today with free worldwide shipping and returns by going to ridge.com/script. That is ridge.com/script. Guys, the holiday season is coming up. I know someone in your family can use a new wallet. You could use a new wallet. Change your entire wallet situation and get yourself a Ridge today. Ridge.com/script. Now, we talked about Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman and how the storyline with Jey Uso is probably the best thing on SmackDown right now. Yes, it's not perfect, but it is the best thing on SmackDown right now. If I had a number two, by the way, just as a side note, it would be the return of Sami Zayn. I think Sami Zayn is awesome and deserves a bigger role on that show. Wobbly Walrus debuted in the Firefly Funhouse. He's the new special advisor in the Funhouse. It's a resemblance to Paul Heyman. WWE writers are too afraid to criticize the Wobbly Walrus being a direct shot at Paul Heyman. Ringside News has learned what the backstage reaction was regarding this decision. The Paul Heyman allusions were quite apparent internally as well. They were told at Ringside News that the thinking is that this is a Bruce Prichard idea. They then confirmed that Bruce Prichard created the Wobbly Walrus character for the Firefly Funhouse. A tenured writer with very close knowledge to the situation told us at Ringside News that it's all very petty, if you ask me. When we asked whether someone said anything about how counterproductive this is to take digs at a man who is currently on fire with Roman Reigns, the answer was bleak. We were told the writers are all afraid to criticize the notion of dragging Paul Heyman in this way. There is a sense that nobody has job security at this point, and Bruce Prichard's power backstage has grown more since he first seized the executive director position for both Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. No one is going to speak up about how stupid or counterproductive it seems because they are all on edge anyway. And it was stated that Paul Heyman is not going to react immediately either. It was also relayed to us at Ringside News that Heyman is far too ahead of the game and strategic to ever let anyone know what he is thinking. End quote. First of all, it's fucking stupid. It's stupid. The Firefly Funhouse and the quality of the Funhouse segments have absolutely gone down the toilet since the early birth of the Funhouse. The puppets itself, or the puppets themselves, Walrus himself, is not on par with the rest of the puppets. You know for a fact that that is not Tom Savini's work. I don't know what the fuck this was made out of. Looks like it was made out of some fucking plywood in the back, maybe some plastic. He's got a fucking black wig for hair. He's got a blue suit, a fucked up tie. I don't know what it is. His tusks were probably made out of something from Titus's Kitchen. I don't know. I don't know what's going on or what the line of thinking was there, but if you look at Mercy the Buzzard or Abby the Witch or fucking Rambling Rabbit, you look at Huskus the Pig, the quality of the work in the puppet is not the same at all. Nowhere even close. This is WWE, man, being lazy. WWE has opted to go in a absolutely shit way as far as quality goes. They bypassed quality to be petty. That's their mentality, folks. If you need me to explain how WWE operates here, just look at the fucking puppet compared to the other puppets. They bypassed quality for Wobbly Walrus to be petty against Paul Heyman. What does this do to Bray Wyatt's act? What does it do? Now, every time we see Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman speaking on behalf of Roman Reigns, we're going to see a fucking walrus. People are going to look at Paul Heyman as a joke. He's a puppet. He's a walrus. He walks like a walrus. That's what people are going to be thinking. Do you want that for the biggest act in the company right now with a major heel turn imminent in the works for Roman Reigns? Do you really want that to be as counterproductive as it really comes off? I don't really understand this decision. I don't. What struck me in this report is that Bruce Prichard seized the position of Raw and SmackDown Executive Director. What exactly did he seize? What exactly did he seize? Did it happen because he is in Vince McMahon's asshole so deep that Vince fired Paul Heyman for Bruce Prichard? Because Bruce Prichard said something to Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon will always take up Bruce Prichard on whatever he said. Bruce Prichard can do no wrong. Bruce Prichard could tell no lies. Did he seize the position for himself? Now, we did read reports that Bruce was stressed, he was tired, he was overworked. How stressed and tired is he? He does nothing. He legitimately does nothing. I could book these shows with my fucking eyes closed. What exactly does Bruce Prichard do? Nothing. tired and stressed. I'm fucking tired of watching mediocre garbage on TV. Nobody knows what happened there. Whatever was reported was probably nothing more than a facade. There's more to that story than anything that was reported. No question. He seized the position. Great. He seized 2 shows that he's fucking buried into the ground. Every week. It is counterproductive. Now, I don't want to give WWE the benefit of the doubt here, but is this being used to enhance the feud with Roman Reigns coming up for the Universal Championship? Does it make a good storyline arc here? Will Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns address the Wobbly Walrus situation? Are they getting ready for that to happen later this year? Probably. But I don't want to look at Wobbly Walrus and then look at Paul Heyman and enjoy Paul Heyman while thinking, oh man, he's in the funhouse as a fucking fat walrus. It is counterproductive. But this is WWE. They do the same thing with their actual talent. They'll build somebody up. If they get over on their own, they'll scale them back and bury them and fucking hide them away in a closet for fucking 7 months. They don't want nobody getting over on their own. They don't want nobody doing anything unless they say. They don't want anybody to get over. It's the same thing. It is the same thing. This may be a situation where Bruce Prichard is jealous. Look, I got this guy out of position for Raw Executive Director, and all of a sudden, now he's back in Vince McMahon's ear. Now he's aligned with Roman Reigns, and now he's the biggest thing on television. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Bruce internally fucked Paul Heyman out of this position. I know what I said about Paul Heyman. Everything I said about Paul Heyman being fired from executive director was 100% true. He was nothing more than a fucking meat shield for Vince McMahon to fire when things go wrong because they do everything but blame themselves. So they put him in that position to fire him when things go wrong. Ratings weren't where they wanted or whatever they need to change. Goodbye. Shows aren't performing. People are complaining. Ratings are down. Shareholders are complaining. Yada, yada, yada. Goodbye, Paul. In comes Bruce. Is Bruce going to be the next to be fired? I certainly hope so. Bruce should be held to the same standard as Paul Heyman. But Bruce isn't going to be held to the same standard as Paul Heyman because Bruce has Vince's cock in his mouth. And he won't let go. That's the problem. But did Bruce Prichard, and I'm diving into fucking realms of conspiracy here, but this is what I do here. Did this character, Wobbly Walrus, get created by Bruce Prichard because it was a way to get back? Because he can, because he now has power. To get back at Paul Heyman, because Paul Heyman, he thought he got rid of him. He'll be back on TV with Brock Lesnar. Now he's back with Roman Reigns and potentially back on TV with Brock Lesnar on Monday Night Raw. So now Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns are on separate shows. Paul Heyman's probably going to be floating back and forth when that happens, and they're both on TV. He thought he got rid of Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's now with Roman Reigns, the biggest act in the entire company, on SmackDown, on the more important show. And to get back at him again, he created this Wobbly Walrus character. I don't think I'm that far off with this shit. I don't. I really don't. And in a weird situation with this character, this is what they do. They would rather be petty than write good shows. They would rather be petty than write compelling, interesting, and engaging television. I don't know how this enhances the fucking funhouse. I don't. I was thinking that Bray Wyatt was going to unveil Alexa Bliss to be in the funhouse, being that she's just Sister Abigail'd earlier in the evening, Nikki Cross. I don't know. I just don't know how this is on the priority list and writing good television is at the bottom somewhere. Nobody pays attention to that one. Maybe we should write good television instead of being petty against fucking Paul Heyman. Let me know what you guys think about that. Again, I said it before and I'm going to say it again. It's all very petty if you ask me, says a writer close to the situation. They're all afraid to criticize, which I forgot to mention. When are these people going to gather up in number and start complaining about what is going on? They can't possibly fire you all. Somebody has to do something. Every single one of these disgruntled people need to go and storm into Bruce and Vince's office and lay down the law. You can't fire us all. This show sucks. Do something about it. They're afraid to criticize. Is that the kind of company you want to work for? Is that the kind of company you want to be a part of? Knowing that whatever you do, whatever you say, whatever you write, whatever you concoct as far as something for television is never going to be heard. Because at the end of the day, you are nothing more than a number to these people. You're nothing more than a fucking paycheck to these people. I don't even know why they pay you to begin with. I don't even know why you're there. They don't need you. Why are you bypassing your creative freedom and your fucking humanity and integrity to work for these fucking people and they don't give a shit about you? When are you gonna learn your fucking lesson? They can't fire you all. Something needs to be said. I said it once and I'm gonna say it again. Fear-mongering in WWE is real. They think who they are. They think that they know it all, and whatever they do is the leading in sports entertainment. Or the leader in sports entertainment. It's not. Fuck your sports entertainment. Fuck it. They're abusing their employees because they think who they are. They think they know it all. You don't know shit. Look at the Monday Night Raw rating, which we're going to get into in a bit. I believe it's the third lowest rating in the history of the show. I might be wrong. It might be number 2 for all I fucking know. And it's not football's fault. Because they're down 2. They're afraid to criticize. Start criticizing and do it in large numbers. Bruce Prichard needs to go. Bruce Prichard needs to go. Bruce Prichard needs to go. We can't get rid of Vince. Bruce Prichard got Paul Heyman fired. Bruce Prichard thought he got rid of Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's now a part of the biggest act in the fucking company with the biggest heel turn in WWE history happening before our very eyes. Bruce Prichard now is getting back at Paul Heyman because he has the power to do so. That's my take there. Monday Night Raw rating. All-time low with the start of Monday Night Football. Raw averaged 1.69 million viewers and a 0.50 in the 18 to 49, down 2% from last week, still down, and up 4% in the 18 to 49 demo. With anything less than a strong lineup with a women's title bout, champion versus champion match, a cage match, Drew McIntyre versus Keith Lee, the show would have been expected to do near record lows. There was a 16% first to third hour drop, a larger drop than usual. The 7 p.m. NFL game, the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the New York Giants, did 10.76 million viewers and 3.62 in the 18 to 49. Numbers down 18% overall and 18% in 18 to 49 from the opening week last year. The late game with the Tennessee Titans and the Denver Broncos did 7.70 million viewers and a 2.92 in the 18 to 49 demo, down 28% in viewers and 22% in the 18 to 49 from the late game last year, folks. I did my fucking research here. There was no NBA game on Monday. The NHL game drew 829,000 viewers and a 0.24 in the 18 to 49 demographic. Now, Raw was down 26% in viewers, 31% in the 18 to 49, and 34% in the 18 to 34 from the same week last year. Raw was 4th in the 18 to 49 behind both NFL games and SportsCenter that aired at 1:31 a.m. after the second game. In total viewers, Raw was 25th for the night, although the only shows ahead were the 3 ESPN football-related shows and news shows. As far as the audience leaving from hour 1 to hour 3, the drop was 9% with women 18 to 49, 16% with men 18 to 49, and a 4% increase in teenage girls, 14% decrease in teenage boys, and a 16% decrease in the senior citizens that drink prune juice and are in bed by 8 o'clock. The 3 hours were 8 p.m., 1.81, 9 p.m., 1.73, and this has to be an all-time record low, 10 p.m. of a 1.53 million viewership, man. That in total averages 1.69 million losers who said this show was great. Raw was terrible. Raw was terrible. So much so I sat here for 2 hours on Monday dissecting every aspect about this show that was horribly wrong. Champion versus champions match. The SmackDown Tag Team Champions come over to Monday Night Raw to lose clean to the Raw Tag Team Champions. What on earth did that do for anybody? How do you sit there and say that was a productive match? It was not. I don't advocate for fuck finishes, but there was the perfect time for a fuck finish. That would lead to a unification match at the pay-per-view, which we all know that this company fucking needs. Give me a break. Now the Street Profits have nobody to defend the titles against. You just broke up Garza and Andrade, the one team that they feuded with for 7 fucking months. Now what? Now what? Ivar's hurt. Eric, is he going to go find a new fucking tag team partner? Maybe you call up somebody from NXT. I don't know what you do. A unification match should have been had. What is the need for 2 tag team championships? What? I wish somebody would reach into my DMs and tell me on fucking Twitter, what is the reason? What is the necessity for 2 sets of tag team championships? Really? They mean nothing. The Street Profits will be looked at as losers at the end of this reign. They've done nothing with the tag team championships. And then you got Cesaro and Nakamura as if their tag team titles don't matter. Yeah, we'll just bring you to Raw to lose clean. Are you fucking serious? You had one job to do, and of course, WWE didn't do it. Asuka versus Mickie James. Terrible. Absolutely terrible with a botched referee decision. Then WWE gives us Selena Vega versus Asuka at the pay-per-view. Who thought of that one? Selena Vega says Vince McMahon loves her. Selena Vega was interviewed and said that when Vince McMahon talks to her, he sees Stephanie McMahon. That's the type of bond Vince McMahon has with Selena Vega. I wonder why she's getting a fucking championship match. Not that difficult to fucking see there, folks. Favoritism. Favoritism doesn't make sense. Favoritism doesn't make good matches. Favoritism is something that should not be a thing in pro wrestling. You book with logic, you book with sense, you book for the fans. I don't see any of that being done here. She hasn't won a fucking match. Not one match. Maybe she won a fucking right to grab the last 3 chicken nuggets in fucking catering, but a title match against Asuka? I don't know, man. I don't know. There'll be some fucking idiot out there that thinks this is the right decision, and then I'll be here cutting every one of you fucking down with fucking sharp swords of logic. Doesn't make sense. The match with Mickie, they left it open for another match at the pay-per-view. So if they don't go that route, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Selena Vega versus Asuka does not sound like a pay-per-view match. Mickie James versus Asuka, though this match was terrible on Monday night, sounds like a lot better of a pay-per-view match than fucking Selena Vega. And at least Mickie makes sense now after Monday Night Raw. Selena Vega does not. Drew McIntyre versus Keith Lee. Man, don't get me started on Keith Lee. This guy has been one big botch ever since he got called up. I got news on Keith Lee. Remember how WWE was going to push Keith Lee to the moon? Yeah, right. Sure thing. Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton are headed for a match at the pay-per-view in an ambulance match. That's that. They continue to book stipulation matches with Dominic Mysterio because they can't put him in a regular match. So they did another cage match. And they're prolonging this thing until Rey Mysterio comes back. So they had Seth beat up on his son a little bit more in a steel cage match. Beat him. And then I'm assuming Rey will end this all with a victory over Seth Rollins. Thank God. But I will say, the storyline and the acting and the feel of it, it feels good. It just feels like it's overstayed its welcome. That was Monday Night Raw in a nutshell, folks. Not very good at all. not very good at all. The Hurt Business, Retribution were there again, right? Retribution got taken out at the end of the show by Drew McIntyre and Keith Lee. These guys are fucking 12 deep, and they got taken out by two guys, man. So if you want me to believe in Retribution being some chaotic fucking force in WWE, they just got taken out by Drew McIntyre and Keith Lee, and they're 12 deep on Monday night in the main event. What a great way to build them up, huh? Hurt Business looked good. Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre looked good, but Retribution, they didn't look so good. And we talked about Retribution on Off the Script Extra. They may be unmasked around Survivor Series. And we still don't know who's a part of this group outside of the names that have been floating around on Reddit and on social media. That was Monday Night Raw. Now, the injury with Mickie James was not really an injury. The referee stopped the match on Raw. So it was a botch and not an injury. PW Insider reports the finish of the match with Asuka was supposed to be James tapping out to the Asuka lock. However, the referee rang the bell early and then told the ring announcer to say that Asuka won the match because James could not continue. Now, I don't know what had happened when I was watching it. I didn't know what was going on. But you watch it back, you clearly see that Mickie James had Asuka pinned, number one. It didn't look like she tapped out at all, number two. And WWE leaves it open for the match at the pay-per-view. So this botch by the referee may be the saving grace here. This botch may actually get this match to happen at the pay-per-view, and we can get Vega versus Asuka in a one-off match on Monday Night Raw, and we can move on from that because that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. At all. So PW Insider says that Asuka lock was supposed to be the finish. Referee rang the bell early and told the ring announcer to say that Asuka won the match because James could not continue. James was actually fine, and what happened was that she did just a great job selling that the people in charge thought she was out of it, so the referee was given instructions in his ear to end the match. Everything that happened after the match with Selena Vega confronting Asuka was planned and is the setup for a title program. They will likely face off for the Raw Women's Championship at the Clash of the Champions, and PW Insider says people I've spoken to today in WWE said that James vs. Asuka will likely happen again soon, and they will capitalize on Monday's controversial finish. So why not do it at the pay-per-view? For reasons that I just mentioned. Vega has not won a match. Vega is not a good professional wrestler. What did she do to earn a title shot? You just can't show up in the ring, slap the champion, and then claim that you are owed a championship match. Mickie James just got screwed. You just gave yourself an out there to have it happen again. So let's do that and get Zelina Vega on a Monday Night Raw in a nothing match and get her out of the fucking way. And let's start building Asuka with some credible fucking opponents, please. Please. Ridiculous, man. Mickie James was not hurt. The referee botched. And WWE can botch themselves into a women's championship match that is better than the one that has previously been announced on Monday Night Raw. Real reason why Lana and Natalya were destroyed on Monday Night Raw. Now, Miro was released on April 15th. He then arrived in AEW last week. That surprising debut was followed by his wife Lana and her tag team partner Natalya getting squashed on Raw. Some fans thought that these two events were connected, but that doesn't seem to be the case. You know what? I ain't buying it. I ain't buying it. During his Twitch stream, Miro spoke about his worry that Lana will get heat after his AEW debut and promo. It might be easy to connect the dots in these two situations, but they are not related. Ringside News was explicitly told by a tenured member of the creative team that Lana and Natalya's beatdown on Raw had nothing to do with Miro. Bullshit. Bullshit. Ringside News has had some really, really great exclusives as of late. I do not believe this tenured member of the creative team at all. At all. I don't know who the fuck this tenured member is of the creative team, but it had nothing to do with Miro. Absolutely bullshit. Bullshit. Lana and Natalya were destroyed by Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, but there was a reason for it. WWE needed to show the devastation that Nia and Shayna are capable of. This was not a way to get back at Lana or her husband. So you mean to tell me that Shayna Baszler and Nia didn't show their devastation when they, I don't know, won the women's tag team championships from Bayley and Sasha Banks. You mean to tell me that Shayna Baszler didn't show her devastation and her destruction by tapping out both women? I don't understand that. She had Sasha Banks and Bayley in a Muda lock and a Kirifuda clutch at the same time. Now, but I'm to believe that Miro has nothing to do with it, right? Bullshit. This guy clearly is feeding dirt sheets, sources, false information. For what reason, I don't know. It has everything to do with Miro. Everything. Now, I don't give a fuck if Lana and Natalya are buried. Good. They're worthless to me and a lot of people anyway on Monday Night Raw. But we don't need Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler to dominate like that when they've already dominated like that. They beat Bayley and Sasha Banks twice in 1 week. In 1 week. Please tell me. I'd love to know how this is nothing to do with Miro. Give me a fucking break. Additionally, Ringside News was asked, who else are they going to do devastating things to? No-name opponents in Underground? For the record, there are some who do not believe this, but it was confirmed by Ringside News to be the case. False. Lana and Natalya weren't very happy about this angle either. The segment was not a booking decision made out of bitterness. This was simply a way to make WWE, take the women's tag team champions and have them look strong, and they used established superstars to do so. Lana is established? Bullshit. Natalya is established? In what way? In what way? Fact of the matter is, folks, WWE has nobody else on the main roster. They were put in there out of sheer necessity. By default. Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan, they're the number one contenders. You can't clearly do that with them now, right? There's nobody else on the fucking roster to do that for. It has everything to do with Miro. Don't believe that. Adam Pearce. WWE's mindset on Adam Pearce and him being an authority figure. Adam Pearce has been given a few notable roles in recent memory. He had this position just handed to him all of a sudden. He's got more TV time than fucking Ali. He was front and center during Bray Wyatt's ambulance transformation angle. He also busted open his hand in the process. I wasn't sure about that until this report. After being tasked to get all the signatures for the Universal title match at Payback, he was somebody that remained on television. Pearce is also responsible for keeping Retribution off of Raw, but he's not very good at that. Ringside News has learned that Adam Pearce is not a new general manager or any type of official authority figure per se. He's someone from management who can make decisions. Folks, listen. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything with you here. I don't really do that. Adam Pearce is not a general manager, but he is an authority figure from management who makes decisions. That's a general manager. That's a general manager without being given the title of general manager. Are you fucking kidding me with this shit? What is with these people running around in circles? Seriously. They tell Ringside News, he's not a general manager, but he's somebody in authority. He's somebody in management that makes matches. That's a general manager to me. Sounds like a fucking GM to me. Or a commissioner. Or a constable. Whatever the fuck you want to call him. A writer with close knowledge to the situation confirmed to Ringside News that WWE isn't bringing back authority figures. There's no current plan to label anyone as a general manager, a constable, or commissioner. Adam Pearce is someone else who can represent an official stance while not being a referee. Adam Pearce has taken every opportunity given to him, and fans enjoy seeing him on television. He's a 5-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, if you guys didn't know. Odds are this situation will continue for him as time goes on. He is the unofficial GM. WWE loves their GMs. So Adam Pearce is their unofficial GM, which, honestly, I don't mind. William Regal got it right on NXT. You need someone to make the matches. You just can't have the show revolve around that character. He cannot be the most important character on the show. He only shows up when he's needed. If Adam Pearce can have that type of role here, then I'll be all for it. But just let me know instead of sugarcoating it. He's someone that makes matches. He's a general manager. Okay? Nobody believes that he's just some random dude making matches backstage without a fucking title. He's an unofficial GM on Monday Night Raw. Braun Strowman showed up on Raw Underground. Oh joy, oh joy. The Strowman Express made a stop. Now, Braun Strowman and Dabba-Kato were built on Raw Underground, and they had a stare down. And then he writes on social media, sometimes you got to remind the world who the hell you are, and you're one of a kind. I go wherever I want. I'll see you next week, Dabba-Kato, he says on Twitter. Does Dabba-Kato like Hot Pockets, you fucking geek, Braun Strowman? Does he like the meatball? Does he like the ham and cheese? Does he like the 4-cheese Parmesan? I'm a meatball guy myself, if you were wondering. Strowman. It's a potential meeting of two monsters. And for weeks, Dabba-Kato has been the man to beat in Raw Underground, being protected by WWE in that environment as he squashed many of his opponents. He's looked unstoppable until, of course, Braun Strowman came in there and showed up on Monday and assumed his dominant stance on Raw Underground. Must be great to be Braun Strowman, man. Show up on Raw Underground and have no desire or care in the world to get back your Universal title that you lost unfairly to Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns cheated and fucked the system, right? You don't give a shit about that. Now you're on Monday Night Raw fucking engaging with Dabba-Kato. I see where Braun Strowman's priorities lie. Stupidity. It's likely WWE is setting the stage for this clash on purpose, and the idea might be to serve one of two objectives. Either WWE wants Strowman back in the dominant section of WWE's superstar page, or they're looking at getting Dabba-Kato over in a major way against a top-level opponent. Maybe it's just a little bit of both. For Strowman, he's coming off a WWE Universal title loss, and often when he loses big matches, WWE puts him immediately in a situation where he can crush people. Fans tend to forget his losses when only a week or two later he's out destroying everything in front of him. It's become fairly predictable as a formula for the Strowman Express. You know, predictable on Braun Strowman. Perfect words that go in the same sentence. For Dabba-Kato, there's no better way to make him a serious threat than to have him stand face-to-face with Braun Strowman, possibly even defeat Strowman. The interesting question heading into this feud on Monday is who WWE will choose to put over. One way to look at this is that it's a great way to make a new star, but it could hurt Strowman in the long run. The other way is that it could be a great way to ensure Strowman isn't left in the dust after a series of quick losses. Raw Underground has not provided anybody since its inception a spotlight to get over. Nobody has gotten over on Raw Underground. Now, the reason why Raw Underground exists, your guess is as good as mine. But Raw Underground is failing. Raw Underground is failing. So much so, folks, that as soon as we seen Kevin Owens and Aleister Black on Raw Underground, you knew WWE was desperate to find any type of attention for Raw Underground possible. Now, Kevin Owens and Aleister Black, we all know, don't belong in Raw Underground. They belong in the fucking wrestling ring, not some fucking Fight Club wannabe bullshit segment on Monday Night Raw. Now, Dabba-Kato and Braun Strowman, this will draw. Why? Because people are fucking mind-numbingly boring, and they find great enjoyment in finding two guys the size of Strowman go head-to-head and clash at one another in the ring. It's like two big bulls, two big giants going head-to-head. People with fucking less than negative IQs find this shit to be interesting. Me, I can't stand it. I think it's terrible. But having Braun Strowman on Raw Underground is just another reason for its demise. Seriously. It didn't do anything when it was genuine and pure. Now you're adding Strowman and Black and Owens and all these other guys to Raw Underground because you have nothing else to do. It hasn't accomplished what it set out to accomplish. It was supposed to bring this new Raw vibe to Monday Night Raw. No, it hasn't. Now you got Braun Strowman in there with Dabba-Kato. Of course people are going to find this to be interesting for the reasons that I just mentioned. But what's going to happen here? What's going to happen here? Is Dabba-Kato going to go over? that would actually be a reason for Raw Underground existing, putting Dabba-Kato over. If Braun Strowman goes over Dabba-Kato, then what is the reason for Raw Underground existing? None. And it's the same old rinse and repeat formula with Braun Strowman. He loses, he's a jobber, he loses the title, there's nothing special about him. Ha ha ha, let's put him in a situation where he can demolish fucking bums and look like a dominant monster. Spare me. The guy has been ruined for 3 years. Probably longer than that. Nothing that you do is going to make me interested in Braun Strowman. It's the same old shit every single fucking time. A one-trick pony, a one-dimensional act that is fucking dead. He's lucky he lucked into a Universal title. His only, and that's it, Universal title. His only one, ever. He will never sniff another Universal title ever again. Why? Because he sucks. It's not what I look at when I look at champion. If Raw Underground is to exist any further after Monday Night, Dabba-Kato needs to go over Braun Strowman. And if Braun Strowman wins, get it off my fucking TV because it's an absolute waste of fucking 90 seconds. Seriously. Give the 90 seconds to somebody else. Maybe we could get Bianca Belair on fucking TV in 90 seconds. WWE, and the final story here, man. They have no real plan in place for Keith Lee on Monday Night Raw. Really now? Man, am I fucking shocked, said nobody ever. Keith Lee dropped the NXT title. He arrived on Raw. Lost his debut match, by the way, by DQ. He lost his debut match. They changed his theme music. They put him in a dress. Keith Lee was fucking just a huge disappointment on his debut night. Oh, but JD, it's CFOs. Really? Then why do half the roster have CFO theme music? Why did he come out to CFOs at TakeOver against Karrion Kross? But on Monday Night Raw, just a mere 36 hours later, he can't come out to Limited, his theme song, right? Sure. Keith Lee is in a strange position on Monday Night. Strange, that's an understatement. They are teasing a big push for him, but he has yet to land anywhere on the Clash of Champions card. His match against Drew McIntyre ended with a retribution attack. Now fans are left waiting to see what is next for Limited Keith Lee. Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer discussed WWE's plan for Keith Lee. He was brawling with Drew McIntyre all night and showed a new intense side. It seems that WWE doesn't have a real direction for him, but at least the plan is to continue his push. Oh yeah, we got no plans for him, but we'll continue to push him in nonsensical, fucking illogical ways. So WWE brainwashes you to think that they are pushing him, but they're not really doing anything because they're not really doing him any favors. What is he doing? He lost 3 of his 4 matches. The only match that he's actually won is beating Randy Orton clean at Payback, and that is it. He's in a WWE title situation that he's not even a factor in, and WWE has something waiting for him now if they want to play their cards right. Meltzer says this, and I quote, "I didn't sense at all that he's going heel, but they're just running by the seat of their pants when it comes to Keith Lee. You can tell there's no plan in place at all, other than he's still on the list of people they are pushing as opposed to the other guys who are no longer on the list." End quote. Other notable names who are no longer really getting pushes from Vince McMahon include Aleister Black and Andrade. At least Keith Lee seems to be getting a place at the top of the card. But that's what the shills and the marks say. Oh, but he's at the top of the card. Yeah, but he's not doing anything. He looks ridiculous. And then they put a singlet on him, by the way. You guys seen that? They just need to figure out where he fits. Well, maybe you should have thought of that before you fucking called him up to the main roster. That is what should have been done. Give me a fucking break here, man. Keith Lee has no plan on Monday Night Raw. What a shame. WWE certainly has a plan for Keith Lee if they want something for Keith Lee to do. Now he's mixed in with Retribution. They attacked him during the match. Who's leading Retribution? His old best friend in Dominik Dijakovic. There's a feud and match and story ready to write itself. And his girlfriend is in the fucking group as well. So there is a nice little caveat for Keith Lee. He should have never been in a WWE Championship situation. He never should have feuded with Randy Orton. Never. Now look at him. What are you going to do now? How ridiculous is it going to look when Keith Lee is in this and then he's got to get scaled back? You should have started him at the bottom and worked his way to the top. Start off a feud with Seth Rollins, maybe get into a U.S. title feud with Bobby Lashley, and then go on to the WWE title. But here we are starting him at the top, and you knew you weren't going to make him the champion, and now you got to scale him back, and now it's going to look ridiculous that you started him off there, and now when people see that he's going down lower on the card, then people are going to start using that word a little bit more frequently, and buried will be an everyday thing with Keith Lee on social media. Even though I said he's not buried, he's just a disappointment. WWE had a checklist of everything of what not to do, and they broke every fucking rule on his debut night. No plan for Keith Lee in place. Folks, I said this on night 1. This is not new information to anybody. All you gotta do is watch the fucking show. From week 1 to week 2, week 2 to week 3, week 3 to week 4. You've seen that WWE has no fucking plans for Keith Lee. Just look at the things that they fucking changed about this guy. They got no fucking plans for him just based off that. Dave Meltzer's right. They got nothing in place for Keith Lee, and they're running by the seat of their fucking pants when it comes to Keith Lee. But they're going to continue pushing him, and they're going to manipulate you and think that they're pushing him, but he's not really ingrained in anything important that's going to have a long-term payoff. So what exactly is the plan? Put him on TV, and we'll figure it out later. Guys, I'm getting out of here. Thank you so very much for all that you do. Thank you so very much for supporting the podcast. If you enjoyed it, hit that thumbs up. Let me know what you think of all the major stories down below. Follow me on Twitter, at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Make sure you guys check out all the other videos that you might have missed on the channel. Links are down below in the description of this very video. Make sure you guys support the podcast. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Mouthmasker.com/OTS for your masks. Go get your t-shirts exclusively on Bonfire.com and The Ridge. Ridge.com/scripts. 10% off using code SCRIPT at checkout, man. Go and get yourself something nice, courtesy of The Ridge. Guys, I'm getting out of here. Hit that thumbs up, and I'll be back on Monday with a brand new week of content right here on the podcast, man. See you guys later. I'll see you right back here on Off the Script Monday live from Monday Night Raw.